All praises to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakar double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the elect of the nation of Israel. And this is going to be a lesson on, well, you know what? I'm going to get the scripture. Man. John chapter 3 and verse 12. If I have told you earthly things, and ye believe not, how shall ye believe if I tell you of heavenly things? Now, let me get the context of what's being spoken of in regards to this particular situation. This is John chapter 3 and verse 1. There was a man of the Pharisees named Nicodemus, a ruler of the Jews. The same came to Yahushua by night and said unto him, Rabbi, we know that thou art a teacher come from God, for no man can do these miracles that thou doest except God be with him. Yahushua answered and said unto him, Verily, verily, I say unto thee, except one be born again, he cannot see the kingdom of Yahweh. Nicodemus saith unto him, How can a man be born when he is old? Can he enter the second time into his mother's womb and be born? So this guy was a very literal man, right? When he heard Yahushua say, be born again, right? He was being extremely literal. He was like, okay, how can a man be born again? And he entered the second time into his mother's womb and be born. Like, he was a very literal individual, right? He was one of those literal guys, like how a particular individual came up to some brothers in London. How can a woman be part? How can the Messiah be from the tribe of Judah if his mother is born from a virgin? How can this and that and this and that and that and this if it comes from a virgin? Are you dumb? They don't believe. They don't believe that he was born from a virgin birth. Now, whether you believe that he was born from a virgin birth or not does not matter. They don't believe it. I don't believe it. You Christians believing that the virgin birth is a virgin birth, literal as in she didn't have slept with a man, and us not believing it. Okay, if you believe that and we believe, okay, we don't have to, don't you people understand? Don't you get it? We don't have to believe the Bible the way that you believe it. We don't have to. We don't have to believe the Bible the way that you believe it, man. We don't have to believe that. We don't have to. If you want to believe that Jesus is God, we don't believe it, and we don't have to believe the Bible the way that you believe it. If you're happy with your doctrine, which the geezers obviously ain't. And I was thinking about this, man, when I seen the situation take place. I was like, of all the things that this guy could have came from whatever hole in London he crawled out of, to try and speak to these brothers and be like, I'd like to talk to you about the Bible if that's all right, Squire. Like, I'd like to talk to you about can we talk about the Bible for a bit if that's all right? Yeah, about what part? Just about the Bible in general. Yeah, well, it depends. Are you with him? Does that matter? Does that matter? Yeah, of course it matters, because that guy's a known demon and a scoffer. And it's obvious that you know him anyway, because how the hell is this guy from America going to just randomly show up, and the first time that I see you, man, and the first time I ever see this guy in my life, you're all together. Obviously, you know each other. Obviously. And instead of just being sincere, yeah, I am with him, you're being a deceptive nigger. Being a deceptive nigger, being a black person, man, instead of being an Israelite. Instead of saying, yeah, I am with him. Or does that matter? Every time you get asked a question, let's not cut from the subject. You're a demon. You're not sincere. You're an evil man. And a coon too. Like, the way how vocab alone is always easy to find a coon, man. The way how this guy's like a coon magnet, bro. If you want to know if a Jake's a coon, just bring him around, bring Vocab Malone around, man. Or as one of the elders called him Vocab Malone, carbohydrates ass nigga. You know what I mean? You better change to low carb Malone real quick, man. Damn demon. Lasagna belly, man. Pasta belly, bro. You know what I mean? But anyway, verse 5, Yahweh answered, Verily, verily, I say unto thee, except a man be born of water and of the Spirit, he cannot enter into the kingdom of Yahweh. That which is born of the flesh is flesh, and that which is born of the Spirit is spirit. So Yahweh had to open it up to him, to this Nicodemus, and be like, no, I'm talking about two completely different births. There's the birth of the flesh and there's the birth of the spirit. And your spirit needs to be reborn, man. The way how the spirit can be reborn again, it's possible for the spirit to be reborn again. Right? For you to remember what you once knew. Because there was a time when our spirit says Israelites were dead, man. And some Israelite spirits still are dead. Or anyone that's teaching a virgin birth, and your spirit is dead, man. Because here's the thing, what's harder to believe? What's more logical and more easy to believe, where you shouldn't be having to debate and question it? A man called Joseph, that's from the house and lineage of David, slept with a woman called Mary, yeah? And they had a child that became of the house and lineage of David, because the father, in an earthly sense, was of the house and lineage of David. But the spirit that was put inside of that child that was born and conceived from a man of the house and lineage of David, right? Sleeping with a woman called Mary. The spirit that was put inside of that child was the only spirit that the Heavenly Father ever made. Ding! What's hard to understand about that? Verse, a woman comes to her husband and says, I'm pregnant, love. I'm pregnant, sweetheart. But it's not yours. It's God's. Mate, are you taking a piss? All right, that's how you're running it. Where's the stones? Yeah, get the stones, mate. We're going to stone her right now. The hell are you people talking about, man? The way how some of you, man, the way how some of you Jakes are, man, you're disgusting, you know. The worst thing you can be, one of the worst things you can be in this whole earth, man, outside of being a PDF, I would say, is a coon and a sellout to your own people, man. An alphabet and a rainbow, that's up there, right? And a sellout to your own people, man. Like them mans that showed up there with Vocab Malone, Vocab, yeah? Them same mans, if we was in the Atlantic slave trade, talking in that old school slave speech, but Massa, we need to escape from Massa, right? Them same man would go to, if Vocab Malone was a slave owner, them man would tell us, yo, them slaves are trying to rebel tonight, you know. They're planning on doing you over while you sleep today. And then he'd throw them a little extra loaf of bread or whatever. And they'd eat it in the corner of the room like a cat or like a dog that's like hungry as hell. And they just feel like rejuvenated that they sold their whole nation down the drain, man. Because they want that extra little loaf of bread that they get for snitching on us. And then they try and come around us pretending like they're normal, like one of us and that. And then snitch all the time, trying to eavesdrop. Hey, you Jakes are coons. Like Volker Malone doesn't even come across as a person that's like a good individual. He doesn't even come across like a brotherly individual and a person that you'd want to be around. He just comes across as a person that uses people, man. That's what he comes across like to me. He had his whole Shield Squad thing and all of that, right? Where's that at now? All them Jakes that he had on some Shield Squad. You know what the Shield Squad is? What you know what Volker Malone's Shield Squad is? He uses you Jakes as a shield to use as a proxy to spew out his hate, man. And then when he can't handle it anymore, he gets his own words off, talking about you're as wicked as Tahar, you're as wicked as a Ryalam, you're as wicked as Araya. But you're calling Apostle Tahar wicked, but you're bowing down to him. Man bowed and curtsied at the same time, bro. Bowing and curtsying in front of a man with your eyes to the ground. I've never did that to anyone in my life. I've never bowed down in front of somebody like that ever in my life, man. Lord willing, I'm saving doing anything like that for being in front of Yahweh Shai. I don't know what you're doing. But then you're calling man wicked. But then you was bowing down in front of him though, bowing off. Man bowed like he saw the face of Yahweh with how he was all up in front of the Apostle Tahar, but he's calling him wicked though. Rather than admitting, you know what, I really respect this geezer, but because I know that I'm not a part of what he's talking about, I'm out to try and destroy him. I'm out to try and destroy him and disprove. I'm going to make it my life's work to be like, nah, this guy ain't really. Like, here it is. You know what's funny? You know what's mad? This guy lives in America, you know, right? But took a flight to LDN to try and see them brothers. Why wouldn't you just go to the source of where the doctrine came from and have another rematch with the apostles or something? The same way how you found out where them men in a whole different country that you're not from was. You trying to tell me you couldn't find out where the apostles were? The same people that gave you information to find out where they were, them people can't give you information to find out where the apostles were. It's obviously a thing that he's been told to do. Obviously, he's been told to go and find out all of these different people. Because when I was even watching the video, you know what, I ain't even gonna put that in for that say that part, man. But when I was watching the video, I noticed something about what this geezer was doing. I was like, that's real suspicious what this geezer's doing. The guy is a demon, man. And all you Jakes that side with that guy, you're a disgrace. Because he's made it his life work, right? To try and be like, there's no possible way that you people could be anything besides black. You know how offensive that is? Imagine if somebody said that you could be a world champion or an Olympian or some like highly valued person in this world, and somebody goes out of their way and makes it their life work, right? To try and show and prove all the different ways why you could never be anything more than whatever you are. You know how offensive that is? You know how rude and disrespectful and offensive that is? That's what Volkan Malone's doing to us. He's going out of his way to be like, there's no way you people can be anything more than black. You're black, and that's all you're ever gonna be. All you're ever gonna be in life is black. That which is verse 7, marvel not that I said unto thee, ye must be born again. The wind bloweth where it listeth, and hearest the sound thereof, but canst not tell whence it cometh, and whither it goeth. So is everyone that is born of the Spirit. So the way how somebody gains the Spirit, and the way how somebody loses the Spirit, is the same way how the wind blows. Yahweh Shai was telling this man this, but he was also using a literal thing of the wind blowing. So he was using the fact that the wind blows, right, which it does, and being like, you see when the wind blows, it goes, you see it, and then you don't know where the hell it's went. Just like how you don't know how somebody ends up in the Spirit. Seems like it comes out of nowhere. And how somebody loses the Spirit also seems like it comes from nowhere. Because this geezer that got caught being Peggy Mitchell, right? This guy that got caught being Peggy Mitchell out here, right? All right, love, I want you to go out and do this with this guy. And then after he's done you over, I want you to have a dabble on me the same way how he dabbled on you. And then we'll have a little bit of hanky-panky. That guy, Peggy Mitchell, yeah? Doing all up with that madness, right? Getting a defibrillator 5,000, right? That guy, the way how that came out of nowhere. I remember I was just listening to things, and then I heard the Apostle Tahar say, like, apparently he got something called or it was either Apostle Tahar that I heard say, it was like, or it was a video I seen where Captain Tazar was talking about it, and I heard the word pegged. I was like, what? I said it out loud. I was like, what? Because I would never have thought in my life that a geezer as arrogant as that would ever even fucking like play with the thought of somebody doing that. And then when I found out that the geezer's 6'5", I was even more disgusted, because 6'5" is tall, man. You ain't got to worry about somebody trying to laugh at you being short when you're that tall. Like, this world's disgusting, man. And you Jakes that are sellouts, and like he was another guy that couldn't resist being around this Malone guy, man. The guy, that Malone geezer's got demons on him. He's got seductive demons on him that make people be all about wanting to hear the next best thing, hear this and hear that. And that's why he can't leave the Hebrew Israelites alone, because he's trying to, like, the geezer already knows the whole doctrine. The geezer already knows the doctrine. He knows the doctrine like how we know our doctrine. He just don't believe it. He knows it. He knows what verse you're gonna go to if you ask him a question. But then at the same time, he still wants to hear you say it. Like, what's wrong with him? What's wrong with the guy, man? What's wrong with this geezer? That's like a girl you break up with. Sorry, Jessica, I can't do this anymore. Yeah, and she just can't handle it. She knows you don't want to be with her no more. She don't even really want to be with you, but she's just desperate to try and make you not be in a relationship with no one else. If I can't have you, no one can. Like, just obsessed, bro. Just obsessed. Imagine a woman. How this geezer goes on, yeah. with the Israelites is like, just imagine a woman that's like trying to you'd have to get it put in a witness protection program, man, to get away from an obsessive lover like this guy, geezer. Man's got an extreme love-hate relationship with the Israelites, you know. It's crazy, bro. Like the way how this geezer's obsessed. You think if we saw a video of one of these wicked ass Bible teachers on the internet, we'd take a flight all the way to America or something like that to try and question them? Jake don't even really go from one city to another. And then all these Christians are talking about, oh, like, we're not leaving you alone because you never used to leave us alone. In them time when Hebrew Israelites did used to go up to Christians that they'd see on the street and talk to them about the Bible, guess what? The Christians also had the chance to speak to them. So if those interactions have already been had, there's no need to do it again. Unless, of course, you Christians want to admit that now you're second guessing your doctrine. Are you prepared to admit that? Are you prepared to admit that people are no longer second guessing your are second guessing your doctrine now? So you're having to rethink what you taught, and people are starting to question it. Because yeah, it does make more sense that a man just slept with a woman, and that man was of his father on earthly sense, was of the house of David. Considering the scriptures say it in Luke chapter 2 and verse 4, the scriptures say that Joseph was of the house and lineage of David. So why are you talking about if he was of a virgin? If he was of a virgin, how did he become of the house of David? Well, Joseph was of the house and lineage of David, and I ain't ever seen no scripture in the Bible that says that Mary was. I ain't never seen it physically say in the Bible Mary was of the lineage of David. Now, do I believe that Mary was of a similar lineage? Yeah, I do. But does it say in the Bible specifically that Mary is of the lineage of David? I ain't seen it. If someone wants to show that verse, go ahead and show me, and I'll be corrected, man. But I know it says in Luke chapter 2 and verse 4 that Joseph was of the house and lineage of David. But let's carry on in this verse 9. Nicodemus answered and said unto him, how can these things be? Right? So he was like, how can it be that the spirit goes here and that way? But Yahushua was using a literal thing that's an earthly thing to compare it to a spiritual thing, man. He was using a literal thing to compare it to earthly. Just like how I'll do it right now. I'll do something. The way how we as Hebrew Israelites are going to be changed and become a whole new creature, yeah? Well, what does a caterpillar do? Does a caterpillar not go in a cocoon, be caged for a time in a cocoon, unable to move, be bound, be cast in a captivity in its cocoon for a time, yeah? And then afterwards it comes out and it's a new creature, right? It's a butterfly now, completely different to a caterpillar. A butterfly and a caterpillar do not look similar in any way. But without going through the caterpillar stage and the cocoon stage, you can't become the butterfly. That's an earthly concept being applied to a heavenly. Because we, without going through the blessings and the curses, right, cannot go through our butterfly stage, which is going to be us becoming a God on earth, man. If someone was to just look at a caterpillar and say to the caterpillar, one day you're going to be able to fly, right? And people didn't know what they know about caterpillars. Some people would not believe that. Nah, that caterpillar would never fly. It never fly. But do caterpillars end up turning into butterflies and flying? Yes, they do. Yes, they do, man. They do exactly that. And when people actually look at butterflies, a lot of people don't actually consider that they used to be a butterfly. I mean, a caterpillar. Just like how when people see us in the kingdom, they're not going to remember that we used to be poor, that we used to get mocked, that we was having to deal with problems with women, because in the kingdom we ain't going to have to deal with no problem with women. If brothers always talk about how they're going to get like concubines of the other women in other nations and that, you know that them women are not going to be born under the new covenant, you know. So them women are still prone are going to still be prone to the urge to commit adultery against you. They're still going to be prone to the urge to commit adultery against you. And if they end up around another heathen man, that's also prone to the urge to commit adultery because they're not under the new covenant, what's going to be the judgment if they do it? What would be the judgment, man? Now, I'm not saying that they'll end up around anybody that could possibly even disrespect you in a way that they can commit adultery with any of your women, wife or concubine. But if it was to happen, that woman's getting the judgment of the scriptures, man. judgment of the law. And a lot of you women are going to get the judgment of the law. Because I was watching another video that I saw put out there, man, and I want to do a video on that as well. In how the brother put out the video that a psychiatrist said that you women are destroying society, and you are. You women are hoes, man. You women are disrespectful, filthy harlots, man. And a lot of you don't deserve any kind of respect. You don't deserve it. And some of you women out there wondering why every man's allergic to wanting to get married to you women. Like, that's way too high of an honor that you women deserve. Because a man even accepting that he wants a woman to be his so-called girlfriend in this world makes that man start. When a man just first get in with a woman, and he likes her and that he likes what she looks like, right? He likes hanging around with her and all that, right? He's trying to sleep with her. Her disrespect is not viewed nowhere near as highly until she becomes his woman, his girlfriend, and all that, right? And then if that man ends up having children with that woman, the disrespectful things that she do would now even be even higher because he's got the mother of his children as well. But should that man have married that woman first and be connected to physical contracts in this society where if certain things go wrong, she's due a percentage of his wealth if he has it, and even if he don't. But if at any point in the future, which this can happen in men's lives, he doesn't have much now, but 10 years, 15, 20 years later, he got something. And now that woman's always got access to it, for as long as she's connected to you in that contract. Now anything that woman does becomes even more disrespectful because he went out of his way to have a contract with you when plenty of other men would have slept with you, because that's how it is in this society. Plenty of other men have slept with this woman, did all kind of madness with her, all kind of vile things with her, yeah? But none of them married her. But now the woman comes to you and wants the highest price and the highest honor. And when you women don't understand that when you become a man's wife, you're his property. Some of you women get offended by being a man's property. What does a man do with his property? He takes care of it, he protects it, he maintains it. If a man's likely to run into his own house that's on fire and try and put that out. He's likely to run into his own house if there's a burglar in there and stop the burglar, right? He's prepared to fix his own sinks and plumbing and door hinges and stairs, put carpet in, put laminate flooring in, fix doors, change door handles, paint the walls, right? Make sure that the house is ventilated to try and stop mold. If it's his own house, right? He'll fix the front gate, he'll cut the grass, he'll cut the hedges, he'll cut the lawn, he'll put the bins out, he'll spray fragrance, make the house smell nice for his own house. But the work that he's prepared to put in for his own house, his own property, right? He's not the same what he's going to be prepared to do for someone else's house. If someone else's house is on fire, he may or may not call the ambulance, fire brigade, so that they can pull it out. If he sees somebody else's grass overgrowing, he ain't going to cut that down. He ain't going to maintain it. That's the point I'm making. He ain't going to maintain it. Why? Because it's not his property. But when it's his property, he's going to be prepared to take care of it. So you women should want to be a man's property. But most of you women are every man's property out here, man. You're every man's rental. Like them video blockbusters and you can rent the DVDs. That's what you women have became, man. A Blockbusters DVD. Every man just rent it out, man. Or like a part of, what y'all are like a cone of chips with a newspaper on, man. Back when they used to put newspaper on and the newspaper print still on there. And every man you're like that portion of chip, and every man sticks down in there and just have a chip or two, yeah. And then you women get drained more and more and more till there's just a few little crusty chips in the back. And then now you're talking about that you want to that you're a new cone of chips. No, you ain't. You're cold, you're crusty. There's no salt and vinegar at the bottom ones. Yeah. Them chips are dead at the bottom of that salt and vinegar pack, man. Like the cone of chips bag. Portion of chips bag and that. They're dead, them last ones, man. Or you mean like the last food at a buffet, man. That last dregs. In that last half an hour when the buffet is ending. And they don't refill nothing, man. That's what you have became. Trying to act like y'all at the beginning of the buffet food, man, where everything's fresh and nothing's been touched No one's been putting their spoons in there. No one's been breathing over the food. You were at the end of the buffet, but trying to pretend like you're the beginning of it, man. Trying to act like you're a new virgin when you're a hoe. Done been ragged out by bear, man. Like if like I don't think you like you know how gross it like I've got to say this, man, brothers out there and all that. I gotta say this. You know how gross it is that in this world, 10 men can say that 10 different men have all experienced the same woman in the same sexual position. You know how gross that is, and she now can compare. Or when I had my feet on Jamal's shoulders, it felt better than when I had my feet on Jaquan's shoulders. But then when I was on Tim's shoulders, it wasn't that bad actually. But then when I was on David and Daniel's ones, that was dead. Like that's gross. And 10's a low number for how these women are, man. And then what these women do is they might see another man that might have looked like their ex, and they'll compare or be desiring in their mind to have that same kind of thing again. And that's why it's highly important that a man has a virgin wife. But who can say that they've had that? I can't. Can you? If you can, congratulations. But who can say that? Who can say that this? Who can say and be bold and really believe it that their woman has never had no sexual experience with another man? Their so-called woman. Because really, no man has got a woman in this world, man. It's a hard pill to swallow. That even if a man's got so-called children with a woman and all that, right? He's got children with a woman. He's been through things with a woman and all that. She might cook for a geezer, clean for him, all that. Like, really, she's still dead, man. She still ain't, you know what I mean? She still ain't rocking with you for real. She still ain't. Because when all hell breaks loose and that woman starts seeing you maybe getting access to multiple women, she's going to be pushing up her face, man. Oh, I don't really like this. She don't want you to have multiple wives. So how righteous of a woman is she? How righteous are any of these women really? Do they want you to have multiple wives? No. They want you to be miserable and only be happy if she's happy first. That's how a lot of these women think in this world. You can be happy if she's happy first, but if she's ever angry or bored or sad about something, she wants you to be bored and sad then as well. She wants you to be as miserable if she's miserable and happy if she's happy, but not happier than her though. Because the only thing that would make us happy in this world really is having multiple women, man. And none of them get on your nerves. And once you realize that Yahweh said that that's what we're allowed to have, even though you might not want it in this society now, you can't be truly happy in this world, man. Because that's the man's desire, the man's glory is a woman. So if the man's got only one woman around him and she's a demon every now and again, and then cool for a bit again and a demon every now and again afterwards, like you can't glory in that. But a woman can always get her glory in this world because her glory is herself. So women in this world, they can get a BBL, tweeze their eyebrows and get them tattooed on, get a boob job, get their ankles realigned, get their patellas shifted, right? And all the other foolishness that they do, man. Put makeup on. Like every single woman's really a Michelangelo level artist, man. They can all paint a face on, man. They can paint their face, but pass them a piece of paper and ask them to draw faces. This shit might be dead. But when it comes to painting their own face, they're like the geezer from Art Attack around here, man. He's one I made earlier. He's one I made earlier. Like, if this video comes across like a bit of a rant, so luckier, man. But this world makes you want to rant, man. This world makes you want to turn on some Kanye level rants, snatch the mic. You know what I mean? This was the best album. It makes you want to just snatch the mic, man. It makes us seem bugged out because we can't be content or happy in this place. Because we understand that everything's off. The women are off. There's not really no relationship in this world that's how it's supposed to be according to the Bible. Because women don't believe that a man's supposed to have access to more than one wife, whether he's a millionaire, whether he's a handsome. Like they don't really accept a man really having multiple wives the biblical way. They'll be all side chicks and be like, yeah, I like him having multiple women because I join in as well. Bitch, you ain't supposed to join in. The women are there for his enjoyment, not for you to freak off and start alphabeting and rainbow, and it's not for you. It's not for you to get in the mix as well. Oh yeah, I like that he likes Veronica because I join in as well. You ain't supposed to join in. You ain't supposed to be involved. Why are you there? And then the moment that any of these women get angry, they're trying to set the geese up to lose everything. These women are demons, man. But let's carry on this anyway. Verse 10, Yahushua answered and said unto him, Art thou a master of Israel, and knowest not these things? So he's like, okay, you're a master of Israelites. Yeah? You're a master in Israel. You're a main teacher of the Israelites in certain things. You're a Pharisee. You know the law and all this stuff, yeah. But you don't understand that the wind blows. And when the wind's gone from where it blows, you don't know where it went. And you can't understand how I'm explaining the wind blowing to how a man gets the spirit, right? You can't understand that. Verse 11, Verily I say unto thee, we speak that we do know, and testify that we have seen, and you receive not a witness. Yahushua is breaking that. I'm using an earthly example to break down to a spiritual thing, and you can't understand it, right? Verse 12, If I have told you earthly things, and you believe not, how shall you believe if I tell you of heavenly things? Them brothers of GMS, right? Which again, I'm not a member of GMS, man. I just believe the same doctrine. I'm not a member of GMS. You're not gonna catch me faking like I'm in GMS, putting GMS on my video on my channel name. I'm not gonna do. I don't do that, man. I don't do that. But I respect and I believe that that doctrine is the true way to decipher the Bible, man. I believe that, right? And that's why at the beginning of the video, I say all praises to Yahweh Shem Yahushai, because that's the God that I believe in, right? And then I say double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, because I'm following the same doctrine that Dave deciphered, which is the truth of the Bible. Now, people can say that they're wrong. I don't believe they're wrong, but people can say that because they don't have to believe the Bible that we believe it. But guess what? We don't have to believe the Bible the way that you believe it neither. That's the thing. Oh, you don't believe that that the birth of Yahushua came physically according to the flesh? You don't have to. But we're not gonna. I don't have to believe what you're saying neither. I don't have to believe it came the way you're saying it. Just like how you women, okay, you women don't believe that the day is gonna come where you're going to men and not asking a man for nothing and saying to the man, you'll eat your own bread and wear your own. Like, it's actually, when you really consider it, yeah, when you know what state the world's gonna be in, it's actually not even that impressive. It's actually not even that impressive that women are going to be saying, we'll eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. They ain't going to have much bread to be eating anyway. Do you know what I mean? They ain't going to have much bread, mate. They ain't going to have much bread, to be honest with you. The world's going to be through at the times that they're going to be on this. Now, at the early stages of them being through, there might be a woman that she's got a bit of food and stuff like that going still, and she's like, she wants to be with a man, but the world's going to be through. It's not like people are just going to be all on the jobs market and all that. The world's going to be destroyed at the time when this is really going on. It's not even that impressive that they're going to finally, after the world's through and destroyed, humble themselves, man. It's just going to be funny to see when we compare the state that they're going to be at that time to how that was going on. So it is. Let me take it back. That it is impressive, but it's not like an unbelievable thing to understand that women are going to be humbled finally at that point. It's not hard to decipher. It's not hard to decipher, man. And a lot of you, like, I've heard some of the elders from Great Millstone Dallas say this on several occasions, man. And it's highly true, you know, that a lot of you women that are these current wives, they're not going to be the wives with the women later on, you know. Yahweh's kind of got certain men around women because they're all right to be around them now, right? The situation's okay for now. You know what I mean? It's a woman that they can kind of deal with for now. They can kind of be around for now. She might cook and clean for the geezer, you know. She might have some children with the geezer. She looks after the children and all that. You know what I mean? But when it really goes down, that woman's not gonna be around the guy no more, man, because she was a demon the whole time. Catch giving the man hell. All this worship women stuff that's going on right now, mate, that's gonna end soon, man. Just like all these people believing in fables. Like, a guy can't. You've literally got people in the world that are struggling to understand how the Messiah of the Bible was born like everyone else? I just can't understand. So you're trying to tell me that Joseph slept with Mary? Yeah. You know like how your mom slept with your dad? Yeah. My mom must have slept with my dad for me to be born. But you're trying to tell me that Joseph, yeah, was of the house and lineage of David. And that's the reason why Yahushua was from, who you call Yahushua anyway, why he was from the tribe of Judah. And he was from the house of David. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Nah, but I just can't perceive that. I just can't perceive that though, it just don't kind of vibe with man and that, like. Well, you want to know why it don't vibe with man and that, like? Because you're dumb and you're a demon. And you can't understand earthly things. So even trying to speak about reincarnation with a guy like you and trying to talk about how, what else did them clowns say, man? They tried to come with some, so you're saying that God made Jesus and used him to make everything else. Where does it say that in the Bible? Because I ain't see, well, I'll show you where it says it in the Bible right now. Trying to play some smarty pants. I'll show you right now. Ephesians chapter 3 and verse 9, and to make all men see what is the fellowship of the mystery, which from the beginning of the world have been hid in God, who created all things by Yahweh Shai Hamashiach. There it is in the Bible, right there. Yahweh made Yahweh Shai and used him to create everything else. Even Jehovah's Witnesses understand that. Even Jehovah's Witnesses can grasp that because it's not that difficult to grasp it when you read it, says it in the Bible. You know the book that we're all supposed to believe in. Once it's clearly written and says it in the Bible, there's not no need for no spiritual deciphering. It says it there. You Christians will struggle to you know what, man? I'm getting angry as I'm thinking about this, because these Christians will be like struggling. Let me read it again. John chapter 3 and verse 12. If I have told you earthly things and you believe not, how shall you believe if I tell you of heavenly things? They'll be struggling. But how can you be of the tribe of Judah if it's from a virgin birth? And of a virgin birth. And you're like, hang on. You're struggling to understand that. Don't you believe that there's a place called hell that you burn forever? Don't you Christians believe stuff like that? That there's a literal place called hell that you burn forever? Don't you Christians teach and believe that? How the hell can you burn forever? What's the body going to be like? Oh, well, I don't know, but you're going to be burning there, though. So if you better repent, because you're going to be burning in hell forever, though. No, I'm not. No, we're not going to be burning in hell forever. Esau's not even going to be burning in hell forever. Do you know what I mean? Let's get it. The literal vessels of wrath ain't even going to be getting judged forever. So what the hell are you talking about? If there was ever a people that was going to burn in hell forever, surely it would be the vessels of wrath. Romans chapter 9 and verse 22. What if God, willing to show his wrath and to make his power known, endured in much long suffering the vessels of wrath fitted to destruction? Even the vessels of wrath are going to have an end expiry date. Even the vessels of wrath ain't going to just be getting judged by the Israelites forever. There's going to come a day where they get destroyed off the face of the earth. And they are the vessels that Yahweh literally made to hate. So surely if there was any people that's going to be burning in some place called hell forever, we'd be able to read about it in connection with the Edomites. Yet we read about the Edomites that they're going to be judged by the Israelites, and there's going to come a day where there's no Edomite remaining. Not that they're going to be judged by the Israelites continually with a perpetual stroke, and that the Israelites are just going to have them as continual slaves in the kingdom of heaven. Because Yahweh could have quite easily did that, right? And made the Edomites never be able to cast the Israelites back down again, because the Israelites are under the new covenant and can never sin again, so therefore can never be under the curses again and have a nation that oppresses them. Yahweh could have quite easily did that, right? But he didn't, because he set a balance. The Edomites are only going to get judged to the portion that Yahweh deems fit for us to be cleansed and get the chip off our shoulder, man, and get our lick back, to feel redeemed, to feel like justice has been served for what this nation did to us. And they ain't going to get no more, no less. The measure that they're going to receive is the just measure. We're not going to get off a higher percentage of what they deserve and do more to them than what they deserve to be done to them, man. Verse 8, Obadiah chapter 1 and verse 18, and the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau a stubble, and they shall kindle in them and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for Yahweh has spoken it. They're gonna get judged, man. They're gonna get judged. Like some of you people, man, like you really just don't get it, man. And that's why I continually say that that Edomites and all women are exactly the same, man. They all play a rigged game. They all don't mind doing things to you, but then if you do the same things to them, their whole world breaks down, man. Women are hella disrespectful to men in this world and got all kind of things to say. They'll all be like, women will be like flirtatious and be seeking attention from the opposite gender in this world. Now, anyone out there that wants to try and say that women don't do that as a thing that they do it. All women pretty much be lusting after the attention of other people. They'll, when they're not around their man, be dressed up, spruced up, man. And it's not because they just want to look presentable in public, because they're begging attention. Women do that in general. That's a thing that they do, right? Even if the man or the men that are gonna get attention from, they don't even really like them like that. They just have this demonic thing within them that they always need to know that they're attractive to the opposite gender, and it's demonic. Because men don't really do that like that, man. Even though our glory is the woman, we can quite easily come out the house and not be begging attention from women like that, man. Even though we desire to have multiple women if we had the ability. We actually desire that as a thing. But women, despite how much they be begging attention from men, they actually know deep down within them that they're lusting after bare men and seeking all this attention lessens them. And that's why they lie about their body count. The fact that they lie about their body count and they're not bold with it, right? And if a woman slept with 200 men, she ain't gonna be like, yeah, I've slept with 200 men, and what? Because she knows that it lessens her, man. And when you've got all these harlots in these adult industries and all of that, yeah, when they start coming to the end of their careers, they always start crying and complaining, trying to make out like they was deceived into doing this and deceived into doing that, trying to have the footage taken down from the internet, man. That's how they be doing. When you have these women that be getting caught being harlots, they try and lie and say it wasn't consensual, because they know it's embarrassing the way how they naturally are, man. That their heart is snares and nets. They're wicked, man. Women are wicked. They're gaslighters and all that. And that's what Esau's like, though. All the things that you can say bad about women, you can say the same thing about Esau. They enjoy a rigged game. They lie. It's blatantly clear to anyone that's got a logical mind that it makes more sense, right? It makes more sense that Yahushua was born the same way how any other human was born. That's the most logical understanding. And then when you consider it actually says in the Bible things that clearly show that that's the case, like what's the people's problem? Acts chapter 13 and verse 22, and when he had removed him, he raised unto them David to be their king, to whom also he gave testimony, and said, I have found David the son of Jesse, a man after mine own heart, which shall fulfill all my will. Of this man's seed have God, according to his promise, raised unto Israel a Savior, Yahushua. What's hard to understand about that? Saying that King David is of the seed of David, right, does not mean that he was David's actual first son. And if you believe that's what he's saying, you was being like Nicodemus. How can a man be born? How can a man be born again? Shall he go up his mom's womb and be born again the second time? So you're telling me I gotta go through a gestational rate stage again, and I gotta go back in my mom's belly, and the waters have gotta break in? He was being overly literal, being an idiot. Just like how you people, how is he from David's seed? How is he from David's seed? Okay. How comes you Christians try and talk about some woman's seed in Genesis the 3rd chapter? What? If you've seen, I've got some bad news for you, you know. If any of you man them out there, you Christian man, have ever had a woman that you've been around in any kind of sexual way and she showed you any seeds, yeah, I got some bad news for you, mate. That was a man, mate. Yeah, that weren't no woman. If you've been around any woman and she was like, she gave me her seeds, when I dealt with her, I dealt with that. And she gave me her seeds, bruv. I got some bad news for you. I got some bad news for you, mate. You was dealing with a chap, mate. That was a man. That was one of the man them. Yeah, that weren't no woman. That weren't no woman, mate. So you need to book up your idea. You Christians need to book up your ideas, man. You're lost. You don't know what's going on. You don't have a clue, man. About some woman seed. What are you on about? Where woman seed? Where, man? And when you look it up, that in Genesis the third chapter, it's talking about offspring. When you look up the description of the word, it's talking about offspring. Or one of the ways how that word is used is for offspring. So obviously, it would use the most logical that it's talking about a woman's offspring. Obviously. But you Christians want to be literal in some cases and then not literal in other. So you're saying that his hair was wool and his eyes were fiery flames? Well, nah, because it says like fire. Just like how about when it comes to so-called black people, well, none of us are black. Our skin's brown, and somebody could describe our skin being brown like chocolate or being coffee colored. But then you Christians will say that he wasn't black. He was olive skin Mediterranean-y. But then olives are black or green. So what's up then? What color olives was he? But then you're not ever literal when it comes to describing the color of your skin, because you don't want to call yourself red deer because it don't sound good. You don't want to call yourself pink people because it don't sound good. If you was to call yourself red people, it don't sound good, does it? But you call yourself white people because it sounds good. And the word white is like attributed to things that are pure. And the word black, which is what you try and call us, is attributed to things that are bad. But if this world was honest and just admit that we're brown skin, like most of the world is, then it's different. And that's why it's frustrating to even talk to you people, man. To even deal with you people is frustrating because none of you can tell the truth, man. It's clear that the Bible, right, when it comes to understanding the virgin birth, he's obviously not talking about that because it's obviously more logical that the birth ain't no virgin birth. And when you can clearly see that the scriptures that show that that's the case, why would you want it to be something else? Why? And what else did they say? Oh, did Adam have a lineage? Did Adam have a lineage? Well, did Adam have a lineage? Nah. But was he the progenitor of a lineage? Yeah. And how did that happen? Through seed. So the Bible doesn't speak about Adam having a father, right? It don't speak about that. But watch this. Luke chapter 3 and verse 38, which was the son of Enos, which was the son of Seth, which was the son of Adam, which was the son of God. So if you go and read this in reverse, right? Adam would have been the father of Seth, and Seth would have been the father of Enos, and Enos would have been the father of Canaan, and Canaan would have been the father of Milaleel, and Milaleel would have been the father of Jared, and Jared would have been the father of Enoch, and Enoch would have been the father of Methuselah, and Methuselah would have been the father of Lamech, and Lamech would have been the father of Noah, and Noah would have been the father of Shem, and Shem would have been the father of Arphaxad, and Arphaxad would have been the father of Canaan, and Canaan would have been the father of Salah, and Salah would have been the father of Heber, and so on and so forth. And how did this take place? Through the seed. And where did the seed begin? In Adam. So all of these people that I mentioned would have been connected to Adam. Every single one of them. And every single one of them also would have been connected to Abraham. And every single one of them, well, all the ones before and after Jacob would have been connected to Jacob. Right? Jacob's connected to all the people that was before him. Right? But all the people after him are also connected to Jacob. So Jacob's connected to Isaac, and Isaac's connected to Jacob, but Isaac's also connected to Yahushua, and Isaac's also connected to Jesse, and Isaac's also connected to Canaan, and Isaac's also connected to Methuselah, but Methuselah is also connected to Abraham, and Methuselah is also connected to Yahushua, right? And Methuselah is also, and guess what? All of them are also connected to Joseph. Why? And where? I'm sure David's name's in here somewhere. Then, right? I believe David's name we're mentioning here. Let me have a look, man. Where was Jesse? Yeah, which was the son of Jesse, right? And then Jesse, David. So all of them are connected to David because it's the same lineage, man. So all the people that are after David, after Howard gave David the promise that all of your seed are going to be all the kings of Israel, right? All of the people after would be considered the seed of David. But guess what? All of these people could also be considered the seed of Jacob. And guess what? They could also all be considered the seed of Abraham. But you Christians are too dumb, though. Oh, did the first man have a lineage? Did the first man have a lineage? Well, obviously the first man doesn't have a lineage, but really, yes, he does have a lineage, right? Because all the people that descend from you are your lineage. So yeah, does Abraham have a lineage? Yes, he does. Right? But here's the thing: he's the beginning of the lineage. But a Christian's too dumb, man, because they're too wicked. They don't want to concede on one point that the Israelites could be telling the truth. And they're doing it to try and keep their little crowd of cronies that are still handing up the tithes money, man. And that's why they're still trying to keep and bind their believers with the last few strongholds that they got left. Jesus is God and God's Jesus. And there's a virgin birth. That's the last few things that these Christians are still, you know what I mean? They don't want to even dare talk about who salvation's for. They don't even want to dare talk about prophecies. They don't even want to, they damn sure don't want to talk about what the mark of the beast is. They don't want to talk, like, of all the things, like, listen, really think about it, man. Of all the things going on in the world now, right? The threat of World War III, financial systems changing, AI taking people's jobs, right? Women are mad at men, men are mad at women, the globe, like the society's through. Of all the things I could have sat down and talked about in regards to the scriptures, and I want to talk about a virgin birth, you know. You want to debate on a virgin birth with all these things going on in the world, you know. The president's rinsing out everyone's money and that, right? And all the things like the small, you don't want to talk about, like, okay, you've got a grievance with us calling ourselves Israelites. If you're a fair man, go and ask us the people that other people that are saying that they're Israelites exactly the same questions as you ask us, and you don't even need to go to the land of Israel because you've got them in America. Some of them live in America too. Go to them and ask them the same questions, man. Ask them how they prove that they're an Israelite. Ask them about Deuteronomy 28. Because if you don't believe we're the Israelites and you believe they are, so Deuteronomy 28 should be found in them. Then if it's not found in us, it should be found in them. And anyone that you ever see say that they're Israelites, you should also apply pressure to them, but you don't know. It's a fixed, set attack on so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, believing that they're the Israelites. You don't care about anybody else saying that they are. Anybody else can say that they're Israelite, whether they are or not. But you don't care. But you've got a grievance and a stress of heart when they say that they are, man, because they really are. And it's truly quite sickening and depressing of a life that this guy's found himself in, man. Kicking against the pricks. Like, it's truly sad. It's a sad old life that this guy's found himself in. It's a sad position. Begging it off and being forced by whoever's paying him. Which he ain't gonna admit that though, but by forced by whoever's paying him, just stalk men that don't want to be around him. You know what I mean? These guys don't want to be around you. You tried to get him to be around you before and had to find some London mans or whatever the hell his process was to find where they are. Like, it's extremely demonic, man. That's like a woman that you never told where you work, right? Showing up to your workplace. I'm not happy how the relationship ended, Jamal. You're gonna hear me out. You know what I mean? Why are you doing here? Hey, Stacy, what are you doing here? I never told you I work here. I found out by my own means. What? Huh? It's not like they got a mega church. A man found it through the internet. Like, how did you find out where that place was? It's extremely demonic, man. Truly sickening. Satan must have guided you there. Huh? But anyway, man, like I'm through talking about this topic, man. Like these guys are real demon, man. And you Christians can't understand earthly things. So don't expect to understand heavenly. Don't expect to be able to understand prophecy when you can't even understand that people are born through men sleeping with women, especially when it's saying that they're from the seed of someone. That's what it's talking about. Shalom to the elect.